Jujutsu Kaisen, God of High School, Demon Slayer. All three of these share one common factor, which is popularity due to their fight scenes. Demon Slayer 19, Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 2, the entirety of God of High School. Each of these three series garnered huge amounts of attention due to their individual fight sequences, which each had spectacular animation, which easily distinguished them from the crowd. However, over the past few years, it's appeared as though the shows that have received the most attention have been those that focus solely on spectacle. Countless series have been completely left out of the limelight due to their emphasis on delivering an experience that's wholly unique to them and diverges from the more popular genres. But before looking into those that are not quite as well known and understanding their importance, we first have to further analyze the subject by tackling the giant in the room. Naruto certainly needs no introduction, being one of the largest anime in the West, and what many think of first when the term anime is brought up. And with this franchise, I want to take a look at two scenes in particular. The first of which is after Naruto was kidnapped by the Otsutsuki clan. Everyone pretty much had to run to go rescue him, only to realize that Momoshiki had started absorbing everyone's power, and because of this, everyone had to then use taiju. And I don't think anyone actually cared about any of this stuff, honestly. This is what people came for. Nice to see Team 7. Hype, good, cool, awesome, great moments back in my day. Yeah, hype moment. From a raw animation and technical perspective, the scene is legendary and extremely intriguing. However, the fight itself is purely fan service and is the exact embodiment of the saying, all flash and no substance. The scene never really sticks with you because the context and larger narrative have already been pushed aside in favor of seeing two drawings just hit each other, which is fun in the short term. When I saw this at first, I was just as hyped as anyone else, but in the long term, not long lasting in the slightest, and isn't really impactful in the same way that a certain other scene from the franchise is.
Gaara no tsuna ni tsuite ikeru wake ga.
Rock Lee vs. Gaara is a moment that is iconic not only amongst Naruto fans, but amongst all anime fans. Even if you've somehow never seen the fight, the conflict itself is something that everyone's aware of, and is completely timeless regardless of personal circumstances. Underdog stories inherently have the power to grab the attention of viewers, and this scene is no different. Now, in the world of Naruto, there are three types of jutsu: ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu. Lee, however, our underdog, is completely incapable of using the first two, meaning that all he can really do is punch and kick. Gaara, on the other hand, has been so heavily favored by genetics and birthrights that he doesn't even have to move in order to fight and defend, and has never been injured before. He just kind of stands there. So already there's a clearly established dichotomy between these two, which is only further expanded upon as the fight progresses. During this conflict, we come to see that Lee has been an outcast his entire life due to the lack of ninjutsu and genjutsu. He was so often written off as useless or a failure because he wasn't born with any power. So Lee...
Every time we have a ninja mission, my legs begin shaking. I do not know if I can take it. Sometimes it seems like the whole thing is pointless. Like I am a loser and I will always be a loser. I do not know what to do.
You're right. All the effort is pointless. If you don't believe in yourself.
So Lee took it upon himself to become somebody, not just for everyone else in order to gain acknowledgement, but in order to better himself and prove that how hard work can outdo talent and nepotism any day. And in this fight, Lee does start to prove the skill and hard work can contest against talent and genius, as he continually chips away at both Gar's defense and the audience's beliefs to the point where everyone is shocked to see just how far ahead Lee really was. And knowing the nature of underdog stories, it only seems fitting that the fight ends with hard work and triumphing over raw talent and evil, correct? Well, no. In the end, the blow that should have defeated Gar and won the match for Lee isn't enough, and the strain that Lee put on himself throughout the entire fight leaves him incapacitated. Gar crushes Lee's arm and leg and nearly kills him before Lee's teacher, Guy, is forced to step in and protect his student. Now, having witnessed the hero of this scenario face defeat after coming so far is heartbreaking, because anyone can relate to Lee's struggle to make something of themselves, only to fail in the end. And as the match is moments away from being called, we see one of the most heart-wrenching moments in all of fiction. Lee, the talentless hard worker who pushed himself day after day, Lee, the embodiment of hot-bloodedness, Lee, the 13-year-old kid, stands back up, unwilling to let his beliefs and hard work fall, because that's who he is. Even though he was completely unconscious, he willed himself to stand to take on the challenge once more and overcome the odds, because that's who he is. And Guy, who had watched over Lee's growth, saw the potential he had, and it saw a bit of himself in Lee, who gave him the tools he needed to prove himself, is forced to realize that he led Lee down this path, that he pushed him forward knowing that this was how things might turn out, and knowing that all he can do is apologize and embrace his student. Jesus Christ. This is what a fight scene should aspire to be. Within the span of 3 episodes, a dichotomy between the two combatants was exhibited. Tension was created. The stakes were established. And emotional value was given to the confrontation. All in service of providing a memorable and entertaining experience, which distinctly services the series through utilizing the fight as a storytelling device with which the viewer is able to better understand and enjoy the larger narrative. Countless anime series have managed to carry on this same level of storytelling with similar ideological conflicts without ever presenting it as a brawl, all while still remaining entirely unique and innovative. So, let's look at a few. To start off, it's important to recognize that there are a multitude of different anime series that fall under various genres, each carry their own themes, principles, and captivating aspects. And because of this, they can appeal to a much more niche audience and exceed action-heavy shonens. Take Monster, for example, a psychological thriller which follows Dr. Tenma as he attempts to correct one of his worst failures and destroy the monster that he created, all while struggling with his own responsibility as a doctor to do no harm, while still aiming to put an end to all the suffering. Over the span of 74 episodes, we see countless characters from various walks of life try and deal with the murder drama unfolding before them. Without going into spoiler territory, I'm trying to deliver an abridged version here. There are so many characters who have stunning growth throughout the story, to the point that one of the most despised side characters gets some of the best development in the series, and ends up being one of the favorites by the end. Another example, Aoi Bangaku, is a psychological drama which is a 12-episode compilation of various pieces of Japanese literature, with the most notable one being No Longer Human, which is based off of the novel of the same name written by Osamu Dazai. The story of No Longer Human certainly isn't one for the lighthearted, as the viewer bears witness to a man's further descent into melancholia and cynicism, only to be lured back into believing before being crushed time and time again by those who are considered normal, functioning members of society, leading him to believe that he's lost his humanity at some point, and that he is no longer human. Shifting gears a bit to another anime, the Monogatari series is a supernatural mystery anime which pulls together so many elements that it could easily pass off as almost any genre, with a colorfully interesting cast of characters that are both captivating and loathsome due to the series' large focus on deconstructing each character's actions and beliefs in order to tell an even larger story about people and their various philosophical outlooks, to the point that most mysteries in this series can easily be solved long before the answer is fully revealed to the viewer. The series is brimming with puns, scintillating dialogue, memorable moments, and some of the finest animations and soundtracks to ever grace the senses of mankind. While the series may seem somewhat daunting due to the sheer amount of entries, following the release order is a simple task and is well worth it in the end. Nichijou is a slice-of-life comedy anime, and the second funniest thing I've ever seen. The humor is nearly inexplicable at times, yet tame enough that it constantly manages to hit the mark again and again, making you wish it had so many more episodes than just 26. The show is full of cute moments and side-splitting humor that is guaranteed to at least put a huge grin on anyone's face. I'd recommend taking your time with this one and maybe watching an episode or two in between some of the heavier shows that I mentioned earlier in order to restore your faith in humanity, but Nichijou is a must-watch. Finally, we come to Otakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku, a romantic comedy where, and get this, two otakus discover that romance is extremely difficult. The show is only 11 episodes long and depicts the growing romance between two hardworking otakus in their 20s as they try to balance out their relationship, work, and personal interests, all while getting into goofy situations and growing to care for each other and understand one another more and more. The show is full of various references to games and anime, while still managing to tell an uplifting romance story about young adults with similar interests trying to come together. All in all, it's a pretty wholesome romance anime, and probably one of my favorites. Mononoke, Mushishi, Lucky Star, Golden Boy, Genshiken, Paranoia Agent. All of these series, which are highly enjoyable, have been somewhat left behind or received little to no attention. And more recently even, Skate the Infinity and Odd Taxi, which are two phenomenal series, which came out just this year, featuring some jamming openings and some chill endings, along with one being, I think, the first skateboarding anime, and just starring two dudes chilling, getting into a few competitions, just hanging out. And while the other is one of the finest mystery shows to come out in recent memory, combining all the best elements of shows like Bakano and Durarara, while getting rid of those few annoying points that held those series back. And I could go on and on about various underrated series that have very enjoyable narratives without relying solely on flashy moments. But I hope the point is starting to get across somewhat. That being that each of these series, and even some that I didn't mention or failed to, are consistently entertaining, just like what the Lee fight offered, without ever sacrificing the narrative's integrity in favor of pulling off a mindless spectacle. However, at this point it's necessary for me to address one concern, one question that everyone might have.
"アニメを作る人を初めて意識したのはこの時だった."
That question may go something like this. Well, Vash, as you've said, the shows with more impressive visuals have been garnering lots of attention to anime, while also serving as huge landmarks for animation as a whole. Considering the amount of new anime fans these moments have brought in, and the money that's been made due to the recent surge in anime's popularity, isn't it a good thing that anime is perceived the way it is, and that the fight scenes are successful? And the answer to that lengthy question would be yes. It is good that anime has gained attention. It is good that animation is steadily improving. It is good that anime is continuing to find success and finding its way into the hearts of millions. It's not my intention to understate the impact that anime has had on the world recently, nor am I attempting to portray myself as some contrarian or something. Just like everyone else, I was thrilled seeing Naruto and Sasuke come together with the fight. Just like everyone else, I was pleasantly surprised when Jujutsu Kaisen exceeded my expectations with its fluid animation that went far beyond what the manga did. Just like everyone else, I found enjoyment in watching these shows when they aired. However, upon looking back, I noticed that these shows didn't have anything else to them, that they were completely shallow and would have been long since forgotten if not for their animation. And even those that did attempt to do more and push for both a solid narrative, beautiful animation, shows like Mob Psycho, One Punch, Demon Slayer, had those narrative elements overlooked while the entire series was put up on a pedestal and reduced to one animation point, because that's what anime is perceived as, and that's what's popular. Again, this isn't me going after anime fans, new or old. It's just me asking that all aspects of anime receive the same level of attention and respect. That anime be remembered for more than just flashy moves and characters hitting one another. That it be remembered for more than just momentary hype and left behind like a fad, while those who find more value in it and express it are outed. I'm asking for more because I know that anime is more than just a hype train, and that it's not impossible for it to have both tantalizing animation and a solid narrative, because it's been done countless times before. Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann, One Piece, Berserk, Trigun, Reborn, Kekai Sensen, Fate Zero, Black Lagoon, Fully Cool. All of these shows have blended together beautiful animation with engaging narratives and emotional moments in order to create some of the finest pieces of entertainment yet seen. Just the same way that I initially mentioned the contrast between the Momoshiki fight and the Lee fight in order to illustrate how not just the fight but the anime itself can go beyond raw flashiness. All of these series accomplish the same throughout their full runtimes. Showing series outside of the realm of action-heavy shonens was intended to pique potential interest in other genres, because there are a ton of shows out there that I know can appeal to tons of people who likely would never even give them a chance, because to them anime is just the cartoon with flashy colors and people hitting each other. There are hundreds of shows which explore various topics and interests that I've never even heard of and would love to hear more people talk about passionately and recommend to more people and expand what they and others believe anime to be, because anime is more and it's something that's for everyone. Now, at this point, you may say to me, well, Vash, what if I want something that perfectly blends together both everything anime is perceived to be and all of its hidden potential? What if I want something that blends the fluid animation of something like the Momoshiki fight together with the relatability and emotion of the Lee fight? What if I want something that has everything I could ever want and more? What if I want something greater? Gintama is truly the pinnacle of all anime. Every genre, every trend, everything that could ever be sought after is present in this series and perfectly nailed, making it the ultimate production. Spanning a total of 367 episodes, 3 movies, 2 live-action movies, and countless specials, the series continues to find ways to reinvent itself and constantly remain in both the heart and mind of the viewer through lovable characters, brilliant gags and dialogue, tense sequences, and stunning set pieces. With every episode being more creative than the last and each character feeling so unique and lovable that even long after their individual episodes end, you can't help but hope they return again. While Gintama is commonly dismissed as just a slice-of-life comedy, it goes far beyond that with every episode. Romance, action, comedy, parody, history, psychological, fantasy, drama, mecha, horror. These are just scratching the surface now. If you can name it, Gintama has done it at one point. The series is initially slow at the start while it's trying to introduce characters, build up their different personalities and their respective gags, but it rapidly expands into larger territory with higher stakes, character motives being explored, and an ever-growing cast which allows the series to take on new topics every episode. While the series may be a heavily self-aware comedy, because it knows what it is and who the audience is, Gintama is able to continually capture the attention of its viewers by becoming the everyman of anime and gradually building up the audience's anticipation in a way that doesn't cast aside the story. With the basic premise being that a trio of characters run an odd jobs business and are just hanging out half the time, it allows for the show to seamlessly transition from just helping a kappa protect his home to them sitting around arguing about the new opening. Because it's so gut-bustingly funny that it'll make you friggin' struggle to breathe, it makes it all the more intense and emotional when characters actually start getting killed off and have to endure various hardships. It does such a beautiful thing in how it always takes whatever the plot of an episode is, no matter how goofy or out there it may seem, and turn it in unexpected ways that makes it always emotionally impactful every time. You'll laugh watching Gintama, you'll cry, You'll grin and be at the edge of your seat because Gintama knows what it is and wears it like a badge of honor. Drama, action, comedy, everything is here. So much so that I can't even go too far into it without spoiling some of the best moments. So do yourself a favor and go through the experience that is Gintama. Keep finding shows which are interesting to you. Keep looking for more than just what's popular at the moment. Keep finding more reasons to love those shows you enjoy. Because, at the end of the day, anime is more than just fight scenes. To conclude things here, let's just recap a few things and expand upon some of it. The main thing with this video was to make it clear that anime is an extremely diverse medium that holds countless stories that differ from one another in many ways and should be explored. I don't want anime to just be another passing fad that's remembered as the cartoon where characters hit each other, because there's so much more to it. And there are countless series out there that explore concepts that I have never even thought of. And with my few recommendations, I wanted to explore some of that and acknowledge those that don't receive much attention or have been forgotten, that I know would be loved if people gave them a shot. The point behind bringing up some of the larger and more popular series, it wasn't to say that all popular anime is bad, because it's definitely not, but that those that have been more popular have been remembered solely for their individual sequences of flashy animation, and not the series or the narrative itself. Anime shouldn't solely be remembered as those flashy cartoons, because it's never just that. That's part of what the struggle was, or used to be, to begin with. To try to convince people that anime wasn't just Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, that it wasn't just action-heavy shonens with people yelling and shooting energy balls, but rather a respectable medium that should be held in just as high regard as any other form of entertainment. I don't want Eastern animation to become locked into the same fate as Western animation and gaming, where the public perception is that's just a single childish thing and is continually dismissed until either someone wants to start a controversy or something starts to make big enough money for people to start commenting on it. I want to see more people talking about shows they love because they love them, and continuing to analyze those things because they enjoy them, and not because that's just what the latest fad is. There's nothing inherently wrong with fight scenes, but there should be a higher expectation than the status quo. And more often than not, there's a lot more that goes into these scenes that's either ignored or swept under the rug, because I guess expressing emotions other than hype is wrong or something. But it seems like it's just about that time again. As always, these videos usually don't do all too well and all that, so I truly want to thank anyone who actually stuck around this far. I assure you, it's appreciated far more than what you'll ever even know. And I had a lot of fun making this vid, even though it's my longest one yet. But it's something I really wanted to talk about for a while, and yeah. So, at the end, just remember, explore the world of anime more. Think more about the things you enjoy and why. Never be afraid to express the emotions you felt watching something. And just remember that anime is more than just fight scenes.